You ever feel like you're a guest in your own life? Like no matter how hard you try, you're just background noise. That was me. For as long as I can remember, I was the side character in my own story, the understudy to my sister's leading role. And no, I'm not being dramatic. I'm being honest. My parents adored her, worshipped her. She was the sun, and I was the dust they brushed off her shoes. I was blamed for everything, even with proof in my hands. If she broke something, I was scolded for making her upset. If I got an A, she got a cookie for her C+ because she worked so hard. Me. I was expected to be quiet, be grateful, and stay small. Birthdays. Oh, you mean my sister's second celebration? Because somehow, every year, the cake flavor was her favorite. Even on my day. If I complained, my mom would look at me like I'd just insulted God. You always make things about you, she'd snap. But it wasn't until middle school that I realized just how deep the favoritism went. That's when my sister's world started crumbling, and she dragged mine down with it. She lost all her friends. I don't know why. Maybe they got tired of her cruel little games, or maybe they just saw through her. But instead of figuring her own crap out, she turned on me. Suddenly I wasn't just the ignored sibling. I was the enemy. She told my parents lies, crazy stuff. That my friends were bad influences, that I was sneaking out. They didn't just believe her. They punished me. I lost everything. No more sleepovers. No more after-school hangouts. Just 4 walls and my sister's smug face every day. I remember one time I was maybe 12. My cousin invited me to a birthday party. I looked at her and said, "I'm not allowed to have friends anymore. My sister doesn't have any, so I'm not allowed to either." She looked at me like I had 3 heads. "What do you mean?" I meant exactly what I said. Word got around. The adults found out. And for once, just once, my parents were shamed. Publicly. Loudly. I was grounded for lying. But the leash loosened a bit. That small taste of justice kept me going. But my sister. She never forgave me for exposing her. She switched schools. My parents bent over backward to make it happen, and made it her life's mission to ruin mine. She brought her new friends home just to mock me. They'd walk past my room, laughing like I was some weird zoo animal. And my parents, "They're just teasing," they said. "You're too sensitive." I started shutting down. I didn't bring anyone home. I didn't complain. Just kept going. Surviving. And then came high school and my first boyfriend. He was sweet. Kind of awkward, but I liked that. I was so careful. I didn't want him near my family. But they insisted. "We deserve to know who you're seeing," my mom said. Biggest mistake of my life. She waited until I went to the kitchen. Just a minute. But that was enough time for her to strut in, wearing barely anything, and start whispering lies to him. Saying I was boring. Saying he deserved someone confident. Someone like her. He ran to me in a panic. Told me everything. But guess who my parents believed when my sister cried and said he hit on her? That's right. I tried again with someone else. Same thing. Lies, sabotage, betrayal. And I was always the one punished for it. They called me a slut for kissing boys, but a failure for not keeping a boyfriend. They mocked my clothes. Criticized my grades even when they were better than hers. I wasn't allowed to drive until I was almost 18. She had keys at 16. She got a party for getting a B in math. I got silence for an A+. When she got into college. Barely. My parents paid for everything. Dorm. Spending money. Me. They sat me down and said, "We can't afford to help you. It's better if you get a job. Oh, and if I stayed home I'd have to start paying rent." He nodded. Said okay. Didn't cry. Didn't argue. What they didn't know. I'd been expecting this since I was 12. I'd already applied for scholarships. Already prepped for the cities like my life depended on it. 'Cause it did. I studied like a man possessed. I didn't go out. Didn't party. I put everything into that escape plan. And when I got that full-ride scholarship, I didn't tell them right away. Posted it online first. with a thank you note to my amazing supportive parents. I made sure the whole family saw it. They couldn't stop me now. I left for college with 2 bags and no promises. I checked in with them here and there but never let them close again. I was done being the backup plan in my own life. Then, I met him. My husband. The man who changed everything. He's the type of person who doesn't let things slide. He doesn't forget. Doesn't forgive easily. And definitely doesn't let people treat the person he loves like trash. I told him everything, slowly. First he was furious. Then, he started planning. And when we got engaged, that's when the fire really started. Because my parents, after all those years of treating me like I didn't matter, had one last insult ready. They wanted my sister to walk down the aisle before me. In my dress. In my venue. My day. It was tradition, they said. The older sibling goes first. They wanted to give her a fake wedding. A pretend moment to shine. At my actual wedding. And my husband. He looked them straight in the eye, smiled, and said, "Let me think about it." But what they didn't know is that we already had a plan. That moment. That insane, humiliating, cruel request. That was the final spark. And what we did next. Oh, you're gonna want to hear it. Because this time, I wasn't the quiet, forgotten sister anymore. This time became the storm. So, let me paint the scene for you. We were sitting at my parents' kitchen table. My mom had just poured coffee. My dad was pretending to be interested in the weather app on his phone. And my sister? She was beaming. Like this whole thing was already decided. Like she'd already won. "We just think it's only fair," my mom began. Her voice coated in that sweet, weaponized politeness. "Your sister hasn't had her moment yet. And she's the eldest. But, fair. Fair like giving her my birthday cake every year. Fair like grounding me for things she did. Fair like telling me I was selfish for wanting a graduation gift when she got a car for passing basic math." I stared at them. At all 3 of them. And in that moment the years collapsed. I wasn't a grown woman planning her wedding. I was 15 again, watching my sister cry crocodile tears while I got blamed for breathing wrong. "You want her to have a fake wedding, at my actual wedding?" I said it slowly, clearly, just to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. "Well," my dad said, "it's not fake if it's in front of everyone. It's symbolic. It's tradition in our culture." Here's the thing, there was no such tradition. Not in any legitimate sense. Not one that involved hijacking someone else's wedding. But they were desperate. My sister was 30, single, and freshly dumped. I was younger, engaged, and happy, and they hated that. It broke their little narrative. So their solution? Stage a wedding performance for my sister, before mine. Same dress. Same aisle. Same freaking bouquet. Just pretend. Like some kind of opening act for the real bride. My mom kept going. It would make her feel special. And you already have so much. That was when I snapped. Not loud. Not violent. Just final. No. The room went cold. You'd think I'd just slapped someone. My sister blinked like she'd been slapped. "Excuse me." I said no, I repeated. "This is my wedding. I'm not sharing it. Not the aisle. Not the dress. Not the day." My dad frowned. "You're being selfish." I laughed quietly. "You don't get to call me that anymore." And then I got up, pushed in my chair and walked out. Not a scream. Not a door slam. Just silence. And they hated that more than anything. Because silence meant control. I wasn't playing the role anymore. I'd stepped off the stage. Called my fiancé. Told him everything. He didn't hesitate. "All right," he said. "We move the date. We change the venue. No one gets a second of your spotlight." And that's exactly what we did. We canceled the original booking. Lost our deposit, but it was worth every penny. Found a new venue. Better one. Secluded. Private. With security. And we didn't tell a soul from my side of the family until the invitations went out. Even then, the details were vague. Just the date. Just the city. My parents called. Over and over. What's the new venue? Can we help with planning? Your sister wants to coordinate outfits. I didn't respond. I wasn't playing anymore. 3 weeks before the wedding, my mom showed up at my apartment. No warning. Just buzzed the intercom like she still had a right to. I let her in. Watched her walk around like she owned the place. "You're really doing this?" she asked, voice tight. "I am. Without us." I met her eyes. "Because of you." She didn't like that. Said some things. Things meant to guilt me, hurt me. But I didn't flinch. I was done flinching. Fast forward to the day before the wedding. We flew out with our closest friends, checked into the venue's private cottages, and toasted the night with laughter I didn't have to fake. No drama. No tension. Just peace. The morning of the wedding, I woke up to sunshine and silence. And then the phone calls started. They'd found out. Somehow. Probably from a cousin with loose lips. I didn't answer. An hour before the ceremony, a car pulled up. My sister stepped out, in a white dress. She hadn't been invited, but she showed up anyway. And not just showed up. She marched straight to the coordinator and announced she'd be walking down the aisle first. Like it was still happening. Like nothing had changed. My husband's best man intercepted her. Politely. Firmly. "You're not on the list. You need to leave." She tried tears. But, screaming. Security escorted her out. And as she was dragged off the property, I watched from a window. And smiled. Because for the first time in my life I was protected. Mattered. The ceremony went off without a hitch. I walked down the aisle, alone, glowing me, with no shadow cast by someone else's tantrum. My husband cried. We danced until midnight under fairy lights and stars. And when we got back to the honeymoon suite, there was a note on the pillow. From him. It said, "You were never the side character. You were always the story. They just refused to read it." Kept that note. It sits in my wallet, creased and worn. Reminder. Because when I said I became the storm, I meant it. I tore down the walls they built around me. Brick by bitter brick. And now I'm free. For the first time in my life, I didn't wake up dreading a phone call. I wasn't mentally rehearsing responses to guilt trips dressed up as family love. There was just me, Ethan, and the life we were finally building on our terms. But that silence, it didn't last long. 3 days after the wedding, the fallout started. Missed calls. First my mom. Then my dad. Then, almost like a joke, my sister who sent me a text that said, "So you really did it." What kind of selfish B****Tisich abandons her own family like that? I didn't reply. A few days later, some random relative I barely even knew messaged me on Facebook. "You really broke your mother's heart. She cried for hours. I hope you're happy." And honestly, I laughed. Because for the first time in my entire life, I didn't owe anyone an explanation. Not the ones who only ever showed up when there was drama to feed on. I wasn't going to apologize for choosing peace over performance. But I won't lie, it still hurt. It always hurts to walk away from the people you once begged to love you the right way. But pain wasn't my enemy anymore. It had become my compass. That night, I wrote in my journal, "Grief is proof I tried. Healing is proof I survived." A month later, Ethan came home with a box. Inside was a handcrafted photo album titled, "The Day We Chose Ourselves." Page after page was filled with joy. Me laughing under the vines, Ethan wiping away my tears as we read our vows, my best friend giving a toast that made everyone cry laugh. But my favorite photo, the last one. It was just me, barefoot in my wedding dress, arms wide open to the night sky, eyes closed. Free. Radiant. Untouchable. "I thought we could start a tradition," Ethan said. "1 page every year. 1 photo. 1 moment where we chose us." I kissed him so hard, the album fell to the floor. And as time passed, the noise faded. Some relatives tried to crawl back into my life with half-hearted attempts to catch up, but I kept my boundaries right where they belonged. My parents never apologized. Instead, they rewrote the story. She's unstable. She's ungrateful. She's brainwashed. I let them talk. Let them lie. Let them stew. Let them explain to their friends why they weren't at their own daughter's wedding. I was done explaining myself to people who were never listening. Then, 6 months later, I got a letter. Not from my mom. Not from my dad. It was from my grandmother. Just a simple card with a pressed violet inside. She wrote, "I saw the photo. I've never seen you look so alive. I wish I'd done the same when I had the chance. I'm proud of you." I sat on the kitchen floor and cried. That letter felt like a second chance. Folded into paper. Now, almost a year later, that girl who used to freeze in fear, who lived to please, who begged for scraps of love, is gone. I lead boundary-setting workshops now. I mentor young women trying to untangle themselves from toxic families. And every single morning when I pass the framed photo of my wedding, the real one, I smile. Because I don't chase love that hurts anymore. I don't shrink to fit in. I know who I am. And I know, deep in my soul, that I don't have to earn my worth. I was never just the backdrop in someone else's story. I'm the main event. The fire. The freedom. The one who saved herself. That's the real love story. So to anyone watching this, who feels like they've been erased in their own life, like they've been told to make room, make peace, make less of themselves, don't apologize for taking up space. Don't dim to make others feel brighter. 'Cause you, my friend, you are not the opening act. You are the whole damn show.